So our next speaker, you just kind of got a glimpse of her on the video there, but she's the great-granddaughter, as it said, to Reverend J. Arthur Twine, who founded, as it said, Eastside Church, right, of religious science, now known, still known as LA Third. That's what I love to call it, LA Third. And has always, this is clearly always been a part of her life. Growing up attending Founders Church in Los Angeles, California, and as an adult attending Agape International Spiritual Center in Culver City, California, it was not until attending, though, the classes at Las Vegas Center for Spiritual Living did she truly understand the principles that have always, always, always been with her. Reverend Staci Hylton currently serves as co-senior minister along with her best friend, Reverend Cheryl Bell. Currently, one of her main focuses is being the minister of the professional licensed practitioners, right? That's one of the many roles. The last few years have been focused a great deal upon spiritual leadership as well as diversity and inclusion. She currently takes on the responsibility to ensure that they are well-informed leaders that are spiritually and culturally aware so that they can appreciate, uplift, and inspire others. Reverend Staci was elected to serve on the Centers for Spiritual Living's Ministers Council for 2 terms. That's 6 years, y'all. She also serves on Centers for Spiritual Living's Awards Committee and several task forces. With the desire for all people to live from a place of authenticity and realize that each and every one of us is loved and loved, Reverend Staci believes that we all have special gifts to share. And on a personal note, I've been blessed to work with Reverend Staci in 2012 when I got to Las Vegas. She is dynamic, she is fun and deep. She has grown amazingly, and it's been fun to watch, but she is truly ready to just expand and grow even more and to serve you in doing so. Please help me welcome Reverend Staci Hylton.
Okay. This is not my great-grandfather's church. It's not my grandmother's convention. I am religious science. I am religious science. I am CSL. I am so thrilled to be here and be a part of what this has become. This is a brand new day. It's a brand new day, and we are doing the thing. We're doing it. The oneness, the joy, the love that is in this room, it is palpable. It makes me want to weep. Really, in the best possible way. Whew. And again, it's not my grandmother's church. It's not my grandmother's convention. The days of Founders, and I haven't been to Founders in a very long time, and there's nothing wrong with Founders. Therefore, it's for that person that wants to be at Founders. And so you can't knock that. Well, you can, but don't knock that. Because it serves a purpose. There is a reason, a season that I was there. My grandmother, she loved that center. Now, why she didn't go to LA Third, I'm not quite sure. This is one of the things I want to talk about in a recipe for successful living. Because there are so many things that are unbeknownst to me. There's something that was never passed down, never carried through, never carried forward to myself, my brother, not even my father. I wonder what more I could do with that information. This is what I want to ask for each of us to do, because we got this. Each of us is CSL, and we can pass it along to whomever might listen. We have a responsibility to do so, and we can do it without forcing it upon anyone. As Reverend Elzia said earlier, I can lead a horse to water, but I can't make him drink. But I can sure put the water down there, can't I? That's my responsibility as a minister. It's my responsibility as a human being that is loved and loved, and that was brought up in a teaching that changes the world, if we allow it to do so. But we like it on some level, based upon results. We like that it's a well-kept secret. We like that we're separate. We like that we're more intelligent and we're more intellectual than the others. So we don't want the other folks to know about it. Now, I'm going to say that we change that right here and right now. Because there are a whole lot of folks that can benefit from who we are. And us showing up in love, and us showing up in diversity, and us showing up in joyfulness, with a new attitude, with the diversity that we are, with knowing that the oneness that we are. It's a whole new ball game, y'all. Whew, he's right. I'm tired. I got to get to the soul gym. I got to work it out, right. I should have asked Dr. Sandra if it's okay to speak, for permission to speak. Thank you, Dr. Sandra. You know, I didn't grow up with, unfortunately, at Founders and wherever else I was around. I didn't grow up with the authentic, traditional African-American traditions. I just didn't. It wasn't something that my grandmother or my grandparents passed along. They wanted to remove themselves from whatever went on. It's okay. It's okay. They get to do it their way. I'm sure they had their reasons. And I think they still did okay. But it's taken me a long time. After 10 years of ministry, I have now finally starting to get my bearings on who I really am and where I came from and what I want to do with this teaching to move it forward. But I still love where I came from. Because I had a grandmother who was a hoot. And she was religious science. She loved her cigarettes. She loved her gin and tonics. She was a foodie. She loved to read. She took me to the library. She took me to the plays, all the culture, but it wasn't black culture, wasn't African American culture. I don't even think there was any art that was black that was in the house. Interesting. And yet I love my grandmother. I wouldn't trade her for the world. And yet when you know better, you do better. I want something different. I want more depth. I want more fabric. I want to know who I am from the core of my being. I also want to serve this organization in a way that is representative of me and mine. You know, when I was a little small girl, my grandmother was a teacher and then became a principal. And I remember learning my first big word. And the word was cooperation. And I remember that because she was helping me learn my numbers or count some beans or something, and she couldn't reach the canister up on the top shelf, and there were books up on the top shelf. And so I decided, because I'm so tall, and especially at 3, that I would jump up on this kitchen thing. Counter. Yeah, thank you. Whatever. Just a word. I would jump up on this counter. And I remember her face like, oh, I'm going to have to tell her parents that I killed her. For no good reason. If it was a good reason, it might have been all right. So I jumped up there, I got the counter, those little beans in a canister, and then I couldn't get down. I was afraid to get down. And so she said, hold my hand, baby. Hold my hand. And I wanted to jump down. I was going to use the law of gravity as my cooperation. And she said, no, take my hand. So I did. And she said, thank you for your cooperation. I was like, huh, I like that word. I like that word. Here's the thing about cooperation. It is a means to an end for my grandmother, because then she didn't have to tell my parents that she killed me. But right here, what we're seeing, and the key word, the buzzword that we've heard thus far is collaboration. Collaboration. What can we do to move this ship to the next? Maybe ship wasn't the best word. What can we do to move the teaching and the philosophy along? What can we do? And her father, Arthur Twine, J. Arthur Twine. I mean, can you imagine in that day and time? We don't have that many black folks now. Can you imagine in that day and time to be a black minister? And so all of that created separation. Because if you didn't believe in Jesus, you weren't Baptist or whatever else, it's like, oh, I'm not going to hell. Those are my assumptions. But again, that's why we have to pass this along, so that we know what was the real deal that was going on. What was that underlying cause, and why didn't they want to share with anyone the teaching and the philosophy? Now, they were very well off. They did very well. And we kind of like our prosperity stuff, don't we? That was kind of our thing. The 70s and the 80s. And I love it too. We are abundant beings. And so we should have all the goodies in life that we want. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's more to it. There's more to life than just getting the goodies. At least for me, and it's all a personal thing, right? If that's what you want, that's fine. But let's reach back when we get the goodies and move it along. There are people that are suffering. It doesn't make any sense. We teach oneness, but we separate. We teach oneness, but we don't know that person over there, even though they don't look like me, I don't know. Because they're a different orientation, I don't know. I don't want to be around them. We still do this in Science of Mind. We still do it. We know we do it. We don't in this room because we wouldn't all be sitting in here. But it still exists. And the thing is, we have to speak up about it because people don't know what they don't know. Maybe they don't want to change it, but at least you said it. You don't have to say it nasty. You know what? I'm not okay with you saying that. That doesn't make me feel comfortable. I don't want to be around that attitude. I love you, but it's not okay. But I didn't grow up with that. And my grandmother was not mean by any stretch of the imagination. But I think she was hurt. I think there was sadness. I think there was some loneliness because there were not a lot of friends around. She had her books. She had her grandkids. She had her son. She had my brother, who she wasn't a big fan of, though. I'm kidding, Jeffrey. Just kidding. A little bit. But what can we each do? You know, in getting that canister off that shelf that day, there was a book, and I didn't know how to read at the time, 3 years old, 4 years old. There was a book. And the book, I should have brought it, but I didn't. It turned out to be The Inner Light, which is now the Aladdin's lamp. And so chapter 12, page 218, is called, I said a recipe, but it's not a recipe. A successful life or something like that. A recipe for living. A recipe for living. And a recipe for living talks about my family. So if you have the book, pick it up and check it out. And it talks about my aunt, I guess, who I didn't know, surprisingly. Surprise, surprise. And she was a dancer. Her name was Sally. Her name was actually Sophronia. And she lived in Pasadena. And She was a dancer, a very, very great dancer, and was young, and had studied the science of mind with Dr. Holmes. And she was getting to know the teaching and was on her way to being a very successful and talented dancer, and had a gig already. It hadn't even graduated from high school, and something happened. And she lost the ability to use her left side. But because of the teaching, she learned to use the teaching to move herself along. Don't we need that right here in our society right now? There's a lot of people down thinking that they're out, but it's not over till it's over. You pick yourself up, you dust yourself off, you don't dwell in the negative, but you don't deny it, and you move along. But based upon the religion that you come from, or whatever your philosophy that you believe in, or if you don't believe in anything, that's kind of hard to do. It's kind of hard to do. It's imperative that we teach that kind of thing. We don't have to say God. We don't have to say the infinite intelligence. We don't have to say the creator, the source, or anything else. Hey, you know what? Let me tell you, you got this. There's something within you that knows what the next step is for you.
Come on now.
That's the same thing that's happened at CSL. There's something that knew what it was doing when it allowed us to move through all the muckety-muck that we've gone through, and now we're on the upswing. It's a new day. We're a new society. We are science of mind. We are religious science, and I am damn proud of it. And I can't wait to see what's next for us. I can't wait. Use your gifts, use your tools. Use everything you have. Use the divine power within to live your very, very best life. You deserve it. The world deserves it. I love and appreciate each and every one of you for who you are. As my great-grandfather said, no matter who you are, be proud of yourself, because I know I am. Thank you.